Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Made for More podcast. Today I am joined by a wonderful guest. I'm so excited to jump into this topic. Hello, Dr. Sarah Whyte, and welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you very much for having me on the show. It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
Oh, I think the pleasure is mine. Now, I'm really excited to jump into a conversation with you today. Before we get too far into it, can you share with our audience, with our listeners, where did you come from and where are you going?
My background geographically UK, currently Singapore for the last 17 years. I actually came from a background in education. So I came from a teaching background and transitioned out of that straight into workshop facilitation, keynote speaking, and now I am heading in the direction of conscious leadership speaking, bigger learning programs to really have more long-term value and more long-term impact, which is really exciting.
Amazing. So, what draws you to Singapore?
Well, there's so many things. There's honestly, it's such an amazing place. If you haven't been, if people watching have not been, I can thoroughly recommend it. I came here for a job for 2 years, and that was 17 years ago.
Wow.
Uh, no signs of leaving anytime soon. I just love it. I love that it's so, I don't know. The rules here really work for me. I love a rule. I
All
love
right.
following rules.
Right. Okay, that's good. It's good
Yeah,
to know. Yeah.
it's good with that. There's a very kind of inclusive feel to Singapore. Singapore takes great pains to make sure that people from different backgrounds and different religious beliefs, everyone's getting along together. They have intentional meetings on that to do that, which I think is
Mhm.
amazing. And it's just an incredibly safe place to have children. I have two daughters,
Yes.
so very, very safe place to have children. And also my husband's Australian, so we are between both places. So in
Mm,
terms
mm.
visiting family or friends, having people visit us, then it's really ideal for what we need.
Amazing. I love it. I've only ever been to Singapore once, and it was on like a little stopover from India back to Australia. And the only thing I really remember was catching a train and going to Raffles for a Singapore sling. And then that was my entire experience. And yeah,
I missed that out. And what I would say is as well is even if you just have a stopover, even if you're just in Changi Airport, it's amazing.
it
Like
is
it's
amazing.
I never thought I'd be the kind of person who had a favorite airport, but it turns out that I do, and Changi Airport is it. So there we go.
I never thought I'd be the kind of person to have a favorite airport. Oh, the things we do. Oh my goodness, I love it. So, you mentioned that you had a background in education and then you got into facilitating workshops, and now you are really stepping into the space of conscious leadership. Can you tell me, explain for our listeners, what is conscious leadership?
So conscious leadership is really about leading by example.
Hmm.
I was doing so many training courses with leaders where they were like, how do I do this to my team for things like emotional intelligence or
Right. Yeah.
giving and receiving constructive feedback? And my answer was always, well, you can't really do it to your team. You have to live it. You have to walk the talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
And God, I'm starting to have an airport theme now, but think about when you're on a plane, when if there's an emergency, you've got to put your own oxygen mask on first
Mm, hmm.
before someone else.
Hmm.
Analogy for me, I think very nicely sums up this idea of conscious leadership. We're bringing all these aspects of personal development into our conscious awareness so that we can be more deliberate and intentional with the way we show up, with our actions, with our thoughts, and of course, the way we lead and interact with other people as well.
Amazing. Do you reckon there's a bit of a shift or a bit of a movement into conscious leadership? I've been speaking to a lot of people today, and I'm probably going to give this away now and lead you. This is not my intention. The conversation's really been around like slowing down, like
Mm.
leaving space, slowing down. Do you think the trend towards conscious leadership is in correlation to that, or what do you think has become and made conscious leadership more and more popular, where people are going, actually, what is my intention? What am I trying to do? What is my mindset? What am I doing for my mental health? What do you think it is? What have you found?
I found a really big shift actually post-pandemic. I
Hmm.
think pandemic brought the working hours, working pressures into very sharp focus. Also blurring the lines between working from home, working from the office when people were all at home.
Hmm.
What I was seeing then was a real shift into the value placed on things like well-being,
Mm,
emotional intelligence,
mm,
mental
mm,
health, all of these things. Suddenly, everyone was like, this is now no longer a nice to have.
mm, mm.
That actually is essential to our performance.
Yeah.
The other thing that I'm seeing a lot of is that our Gen Zs who are entering the workspace, they are very aware of mental wellness
Mm,
and the importance of it. And I'm seeing a lot of the push for change and focus in this area really coming from that age group, which I
mm,
think
mm,
is honestly brilliant and very much needed.
mm,
So they're the two main things that I definitely see. But I just think we've had this escalation, haven't we, over the last, I don't know, 10, 20, 30 years of work is hard, parenting is full on, everything is like full bore all the time. And at some point, we're not really designed for this.
mm, mhm,
Taking a step back, slowing down, working on
mm,
what's really important, how we
mm.
want to be doing things
Yeah.
becomes even more important.
Yeah. How do you think people bring this to life, this idea of conscious leadership? Is it something that they need to consciously go and seek out? Are we naturally wired to have elements of conscious leadership? Or what do you think is that the catalyst or the prompt where people go, actually, what I'm doing right now is not what I want to be doing?
Yeah, well, I think the first step is exactly what you just said. It's being aware of it,
Hmm. Hmm.
being aware that this is not what I want to be doing. So I always say we always start with awareness. However, there's a bit of a caveat to this
Yeah.
in that there's some research that was done by Tasha Eurich, and she's got a brilliant TED talk. Thoroughly recommend watching it.
Hmm.
But she talks about how many people do you think are actually self-aware? If you ask them, what percentage of people do you reckon would say, yeah, totally self-aware? What do you reckon that percentage would be?
50%?
Okay, so she actually said 95% of people think they're self-aware.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. But according to their
Hmm.
criteria, the number of people who are actually self-aware is about 10 to 15%.
Right.
There's a big gap between people
What
who
an
say,
opportunity.
oh, well, exactly. What an opportunity.
Right.
Yeah, because we're just not really thinking about it, right? We're just operating
Mm,
autopilot so much of the time that we're not taking a step back to go, how do I actually feel? What do I
mm,
actually think about this? What's
yeah.
really important to me in that moment? So I think that slowing down that you've mentioned helps with that self-awareness piece as well. But yeah, awareness is a funny one because most people think they are self-aware, more self-aware than they actually are. And I think, again, there's a good point here around conscious leadership is you've just got to get comfortable not knowing things and
Yeah.
get comfortable being a little bit uncomfortable and get
Mm,
comfortable with, you know what, maybe I'm not quite as good at this as I thought I was, and that's okay.
yeah.
Just see what I can do to move this forward and improve it a little bit as well.
I'm just, I'm actually stuck on this 10 to 15%. What? Oh my gosh, wait, there's work to do. But where you were just mentioning that around the self-awareness and being okay with being wrong, this may or may not be in your area of where I'm just thinking out loud here. But has there been, or have you noticed how that correlates to this idea of imposter syndrome? So where on one hand we've got a large percent of the population that are mostly not self-aware. We've also got a large percent of the population that are suffering, experiencing imposter syndrome. It almost seems like they're counterintuitive.
Mhm.
Have you come across anything like that? I'm just wondering out loud now if
Yeah.
there's any link.
Not that I know of, but that is quite an interesting link. Um, I feel like even with imposter syndrome, though, even when you're sort of people are giving you feedback that you're doing a great job,
Yeah,
you're not believing it yourself. There's still
yeah,
that imposter voice going on, isn't there? So
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like a lot of these things in conscious leadership, there's a bit of a sliding scale.
yeah,
Not
yeah.
like you have it or you don't. So
Mm,
I do wonder how more self-awareness might influence imposter syndrome.
yeah, yeah.
It a little bit, but that's an interesting one. I've not
Watch this space. You and I will go away and be like, right, what
looked
is
in.
the link? How do we solve the problem here? My goodness. Now, in some of your work, you talk around like the hidden costs of maintaining composure.
Mhm.
Now, I'm an ex-ballet dancer. A part of that is all around composure. A lot of people think, someone actually asked me the other day, they're like, Ally, you kind of strike me as the person that doesn't really have a down day. And I thought, huh, you know, nothing, Jon Snow. Of course I have down days. But I do think there's probably like a sliding scale, like all things, you know, when we're talking about maintaining composure in that professional sense. But what is the hidden cost of maintaining composure? Is it a monetary cost? Is it an emotional cost? What is it?
All of the above, sadly.
Right.
This brings into something that people talk about in therapy, but this is not therapy, about congruence, which is
Yes.
basic this kind of professional mask that we're presenting to the world,
Hmm.
very at odds. Like you were saying with the ballet dancing is a prime example.
Mm.
Another example people like to use is those ducks in the pond where they look so serene on the surface, but underneath their little legs are frantically moving
Yeah.
to keep them moving forwards. And it's very much like that. The problem is, I think, is when we expect to be professional in a certain way, we've got to show up a certain way at work. And our emotions are not aligned with that, or our thoughts are not aligned with that.
Yeah.
We're putting a lot of effort and energy into managing that misalignment. So,
Mm.
for example, if
Mm.
I'm feeling really stressed out, but I'm trying to not let that show, it's going to show anyway, by the way. Like it
Yeah.
does, it's
Yeah.
confirmed. But I'm going to put a lot of effort into making myself look okay on the outside. So that's going to lead to more burnout. You're going to be less productive at work. Your performance is going to suffer because there's so much energy given over to this.
Yeah.
Where people go wrong is trying to manage the misalignment. What I actually talk about is how can we bring your inner state a bit
Mm.
more
Mhm.
to where you want your professional self to be. So
Mm.
if you're stressed out, then look at that. Accept that you're stressed. Okay, just
Mm.
accepting that you're stressed and saying, I feel really stressed instantly calms down that really big emotion going on there. And it's
Mm.
much less work to try and have that professional face on because actually you're genuinely feeling less stressed and able to think more outside of the box, widen your perspectives, think about other people as well. So
Mm.
yeah, costs definitely burnout from a professional point of view, more
Mhm.
stress.
Yeah.
You're going to have probably more conflict, more misunderstandings with other people around you on your team, colleagues, because when we're stressed, we're very like narrow focus.
Mhm. Mhm.
And in terms of performance, the energy it's requiring to keep this all balanced is tough. So people kind of either burn out or they quietly disengage and
Mm.
they're like, you know what, this is a lot of work. If you just look at the Gallup State of the Global Workplace report, you'll see the levels of disengagement around the world are quite startling.
They
So
are. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's really interesting when we talk about the cost of maintaining that mask, because I think we are well and truly conditioned to like just keep going, like smile and nod, smile and nod. Your doctorate's in emotional intelligence. How has that now fed into the work that you're doing around conscious leadership? And actually, maybe that's my second question. My first question is, you know, when we talk about emotional intelligence, I think most people understand it,
Mhm.
but perhaps they don't get it. How would you
Mhm.
summarize emotional intelligence for people that are going, perhaps I could be someone that's masking? Is it
Mhm.
important? Or, you know, it's maybe it's another person's problem or someone else's shortcomings.
Yes, there's a few elements to emotional intelligence. One is again just that awareness piece around your own thoughts and emotions.
Hmm.
Uh, there's various different models, right? But there's normally some awareness in of your patterns of behavior, your habits, how you usually respond to things.
Hmm. Hmm.
Course, there is then you and other people.
Mm.
So, do you have empathy towards other people? How are your interactions with other people? How are your relationships with other people as well? Because this is not something we can just do on our own and be like, I'm so emotionally intelligent, I never see anyone else. We live in societies, we work in teams. It's got to work with other people as well. So, part of
Mm.
it, recognizing other people's emotions, responding to other people's emotions appropriately as well. And I think one of the big issues I see with my customers, my clients, is they're like, well, emotions don't belong at work. But in
Yes.
another way, it's that professional face again. They make you look weak, they make you look unprofessional, they make you look irrational, incompetent. I've heard all of these things.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, what you don't realize is those emotions are just chemical signals in your body. They are there whether you realize it or not. And when
Yeah.
emotions are going on, you're hooked into them. They're driving and undermining your behavior. And you're becoming very rigid and very reactive. And actually, if you just take a moment to just be aware of that emotion, you're shifting into being much more responsive and much more calm. Keep
Mm.
saying to people like emotions are not like a jacket. You can't just take it off and leave it at home and
Yeah,
go with it
that would be great.
and then come back and pick it up again. That's just sadly not how this works.
Get it dry clean, drop it off. And straighten out. And then when it comes to emotional intelligence and the link between emotional intelligence and conscious leadership, do you think we're seeing a shift where this is becoming more and more important and prevalent, or is it becoming one of those pop psychology ideas where people are like, oh yeah, I'm so woke, I'm really in touch with my emotions. I'm sorry if I am now triggering you. Um, tell me what you're noticing.
So it's interesting. I think the idea of emotional intelligence has been around probably thousands of years, really, but more formally maybe in the 80s and 90s.
Hmm.
It's not a new concept at all. Um, I I hope it's not a new thing. I hope it's not a passing fad
Right.
because I
Yeah.
think it really is fundamentally important to who we are as people.
Mm,
It's like, can we disagree with each other and take each other's point of view and get a little bit closer to understanding each other? Can I
mm,
with people who are not like me, who are different to me?
hmm,
You know,
hmm,
I feel like we need a lot of that in the world at the minute, really.
mm,
So I'm hoping this is not a passing fad. I think something you mentioned about, triggering you and things being woke. What I'm seeing is a lot of, and I'm a qualified counselor, but I don't work as a counselor.
yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of therapy language that seems to have been drip fed in through Instagram reels.
Yeah, I think it's becoming more mainstream through Instagram, of course. Like that's where we get all of our good information from.
Absolutely. And I think there's good and bad to this. The good is that, the stigma around wellness and emotions and bringing this into work and realizing we are a whole human being is starting to come down, which is great. I also think there's sometimes a lack of understanding about what these terms actually mean.
Yes.
So that's where the education piece can come in. That's where people can learn a bit more. But on the whole, honestly, I love that we're having these conversations, that it's coming into our everyday language. I think it's making a lot of people slightly nervous or a little uncomfortable because they've
Mm,
been trained to have the professional face and
yeah.
things at work. There's a definite disconnect between, let's say, Gen Z and older generations at work. This again, I don't think that's a bad thing. I feel like we have our growth and change and evolution comes
Mm,
when there's a bit of, it's a bit unclear, it's a bit messy, it's a bit uncertain,
mm, mm,
and things tend to change.
mm.
So yeah, I'm hoping it's not a passing fad. I'm gonna put my flag in the ground and say, no, it's here to stay, and we all need it.
It's here to stay.
Hopefully it's here for a long time yet.
It, where then, as you're kind of going through this and talking about being able to connect with people and your levels of empathy and understanding the differences between, who you are and who I am. What do you think is going to happen in the future when we're talking about AI being, saturated in workplaces? Um, and as you know, I'm deeply invested in the people part of business. Whereas what I'm noticing is I guess a conversation where people are going, oh, well, we won't need to do that because AI will just do it. Where do you think emotional intelligence does AI? Is there a role for emotional intelligence and I to come together, or do we need to really recognize that actually there are some things that are exclusively human?
That one. I honestly, and I could be wrong. This could, in a year or two, I could be sitting here thinking, oh, that was completely wrong prediction.
We'll do another episode if that's the case. Yeah.
I will review and reset. But I do feel like responding to people when they're upset, for example,
Mm,
not a one size fits all.
yeah.
It depends on who they are, who you are, your relationship to them, what's going on for them, what
Mm,
their experience like has been like that before. What's the power dynamic between you? Is it a boss and someone they manage at work? There's
yeah.
so many factors that come into just even giving an empathic response.
Mm,
that I hope that remains a very much human thing.
Yeah.
I feel like there's been some quite concerning things coming through with AI where people are treating AI models as almost like a friendship or a mentoring. And actually, what's coming through that I'm really noticing is that AI language models will just agree with them.
Yes.
Like, my boss,
Yes.
I'm not doing a great job and all the rest of it. And the AI model's like, oh, poor you. Wow, they sound awful. No, you're right. And actually, that's the exact opposite of conscious leadership. It's
Yes.
thinking about, well, is there some truth in this? Yes, this is hard to hear. I feel uncomfortable hearing this. It's not pleasant to hear. I need to improve on something.
Yeah.
But is there some truth in this? Is there something that's helpful for this in me? How can I get through these feelings of discomfort, feeling uncomfortable? How can I draw on my social network to support me? That level of nuance and support and understanding is not yet there.
Mm.
It could be there. I think it's unlikely, but I mean, who knows?
I mean, you're preaching to the converted. I will aggressively agree with you. In that regard, I do think that there are some things that are uniquely human. When it comes to emotional intelligence, do you think that that is a learned skill, or do you think it's like a nature versus nurture? Can people learn to be more emotionally intelligent?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, cool. Great. Move on.
I know
Um,
it's a learned skill. Yeah, definitely. And you can see people naturally get better at it as they get older, generally. Even
yes.
you mentioned there's a general age improvement. With training, with coaching, with practice,
Mm,
definitely does help. So definitely putting those reps in, getting that practice in,
mhm.
trying things out, increasing your awareness definitely helps to increase emotional intelligence. Yes, can be learned, can be taught. Good news all around.
Do you know, just as you were saying that, I've just had this flashback from when I was a teeny tiny new leader and I didn't have any children. I don't think I was married yet. And I was leading quite a large team. And one of my team members came to me, and this has just popped into my head. One of my team leaders came to me and said, oh, my son's off. I've just had a call from school. My son's sick. I need to go and get him. And I said, I'm so ashamed of myself right now. I said, oh, do you think you can wait until after all the lunch breaks um, are done? And she was like, no, Ally. And I was like, oh, okay, well, all right, off you go. And now I'm like, Ally, that was horrible. You horrible, horrible person. But now, like, if my kids are sick, like, sorry, that's it. That's where it goes. It's either me or my husband. And you're right, it does come with a level of maturity and experience. But I had zero empathy for the fact that she had to go and pick up her son, or that that might actually be a little bit scary, or that, perhaps her son might be a little bit scared, and the maternal pull to go and pick up your child. And instead, it was just messing with my schedule. And I'm like, oh my God. So, phew, there's hope for us yet. We can learn emotional intelligence.
To pick up on is the fact that you were like, I'm so ashamed of this. I feel so bad about this right now. That is such a core skill for actually developing this,
Right.
developing conscious leadership, developing emotional intelligence to just be like, wow, that was not great. I messed up.
I messed up.
There's a better way of doing it. And even looking back now, I can look at that and think, actually, I can do something different. This is what I could do differently. And
Mm,
that's the power of learning, isn't it? It's a power of experience. And it's a power of applying what you learn with that lens to think, okay, well, that's done, it's happened, but let's learn from it and get better. But it's hard in those moments to sit there and go, wow, what was I doing? And we've all had those moments. All of us have had
oh
those
my
moments.
gosh. You so eloquently and graciously just turned around my like shameful, like shitty leadership. You're like, you know what? Actually, that was good. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Good learning opportunity, I think. It's a good learning moment. And I think that, and honestly, that is so central to conscious leadership, is
Mm, mm,
sit with that messy stuff, the stuff that you go, oh God, oh no, that was a real mistake. And
mm.
and just accept that and to say it's okay. You don't need to beat yourself up about it because that's where you were at that point in time. It made sense to you with the lens you were looking at it, you
That
know?
is true.
So
That is
there's
true.
always different
Oh,
stuff.
right. We might move on now from that. Don't sit in it too long.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah,
you talked about that being central to conscious leadership. What else are some of the principles, the factors that are really fundamental to conscious leadership?
yeah. So self-awareness for me is foundational to that, has to
Yep.
come. We then talk about things like having a transformation mindset. This is
Oh, okay. Yep.
really, is your mindset primed for new learning, for
Mm,
things in different ways, knowledge, understanding? Okay. I also talk about this idea of interpersonal relationships.
mm,
So
hmm
to also try these skills out with other people.
hmm
And based on what you're hearing from other people, are you refining what you're doing and adjusting what you're doing?
Yeah.
The last bit of my model that I talk about is dynamic thinking. So
Oh,
it's really,
okay.
can we actually unlearn some things? Can we let go of beliefs and assumptions and knowledge that actually isn't working for us anymore?
Mm,
Are we very all or nothing thinkers, or can we look at the nuance and the complexity in there? And
mm,
actually, quite a lot of conscious leadership, all of those four categories, very much are working against the way your brain naturally works. Your brain likes to save energy and to save time and to save effort. So,
mm,
whatever is quick and easy, and also whatever will keep you safe.
mm,
Things like going out of your comfort zone, trying things that are new, your brain's like, no thanks.
mm,
No, thanks. This is not good. But just because it feels uncomfortable to learn something new isn't a reason to stop doing it, if you see what I
mm.
mean. So our brain
Yeah.
is a bit misleading. Our brain gives us these signals about stay safe, don't put time and energy and effort into it. But actually, if we're going to get better at something, whether it's leadership or whether it's anything else,
Mm,
got to go through that messy middle to get
mm,
to the point where we're better. So
mm. Yeah, I love it. And I think you're absolutely right when we're thinking about the intention. And for any kind of behavior change that's happening, when we're trying to level up, when we're trying to look at how do we be a better human and going, okay, I need to put some effort in this. If it was easy, then everybody would do it. If it felt safe, then it wouldn't be a problem. And it's one of those things that I think the more I get into leadership and how humans work and the fascination of it, the more reluctant people are. And you talked about this as well, around the transformation mindset, is how hard it is to let things go. And are you primed for learning? What are some of your, I guess, your tips that you could give around whether it's that dynamic thinking or the transformational mindset? What are some of the stumbling blocks that are, quick wins, easy for someone to overcome that could be listening to this and going, actually, you know what, I might be stuck.
yeah. I think listen to the language that you're using to
Mm,
talk about the problem or your abilities, because our words can create our entire world, right?
yeah. Yeah.
Our reality. And if we're like, this is too hard, I can't do this, I don't have the skills, you're making that a reality.
Mm, hmm
Whereas, there's a little tip from growth mindset, which I love, which is putting the word yet on the end of that sentence.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have skills yet.
Mm,
It's a small adjustment, but it really does change the way you talk about it.
mm,
And then the way you're talking about it makes you more open to actually approaching it and learning more about it. So yeah, being aware of your words,
hmm
catching yourself on those, I guess, more negative thoughts,
mm,
thinking, is that really true? Is that
mm,
like,
mm,
challenge yourself on that is
mm, mm,
helpful.
mm,
Um, and I think just another one that I always talk about is curiosity.
mm.
Really curious, approaching it with an air of curiosity. How much can I learn? What else can I find out?
Yeah.
Because that shifts us away from feeling defensive and protecting our own ego, I guess,
Yeah.
knowledge, understanding, way of doing things. So getting curious, asking the questions, sitting with the answers and just, thinking about them, very helpful as well.
Amazing. I love it. You have shared so much wisdom here around conscious leadership. If you could go back in time and do it all over again, what would be your top 5 tips or perhaps some wisdom that you would like to impart on our audience and on our listeners that you think would be really handy for them to know about as well?
Sure. Okay. Tip one from me is soft skills make strong leaders.
Oh, I love it. Soft
Emotional
skills make strong leaders. Yep.
intelligence, empathy, listening, kindness, they are some of the most powerful tools we have.
Yeah.
When it comes to emotions, awareness over avoidance, always,
Mm-hmm.
always. Um, oh, and one of my favorite ones with feedback, mind reading is misleading. You don't know what other people are thinking. So ask for feedback and do
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah.
Curiosity, I've said already, but curiosity is a leadership superpower. It is
Yes.
for shifting gears from defensive to a mindset of problem solving and mindset of improvement and moving forwards. And the last one is your reps lead to your results.
Oh, this is good. Reps
Consistent,
lead to results.
yeah,
Yep.
consistent actions create change. So consistently taking those small adjustments, tweaks, whatever you want to call them, but doing that consistently, those reps lead to the results. That is what is going to make you better as a person and better as a leader.
Amazing. I love it. So good. Thank you so much, Dr. Sarah. So, if people want to find out more about you, want to hang out, want to connect, where do you like to play?
I am on LinkedIn way more than I should be, I think.
Right.
Dr.
Research.
Whyte. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, come check me out, come connect on LinkedIn. I've got a newsletter that I share every couple of weeks, all about conscious leadership, if you're keen to find out more. And my website is www.drsarahwhite.com. So yeah, come say hi. Love it.
Amazing. And it is Dr. Sarah Whyte, which is Whyte. And we'll put the links and everything to that into the show notes. Thank you so much for coming on today and for sharing your expertise. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been awesome to talk to you.
Amazing. Talk soon. Bye for now.